This week we're going to talk about what I hate in the watch industry. First of all, a lot of people that are in the industry for the past, 5 years or a bit less than that, are always telling me, hey, look at the prices, look at this, look at that, look at how the market just went above and beyond in terms of the value. Everything was overhyped in the past 5 years, including clothing, houses, cars, watches, and everything else. Nowadays we're feeling the backlash of the economy going where it goes right now. We pay, I think milk was like $4.50 or almost $7 right now in Canada, per 2 liters or something, which is kind of insane. So all the economy has done to the watch industry has to do with everything else as well. All the luxury market has been overhyped for roughly 2.5 or 3 years, with the fact that the demand was very high, everything went haywire. Everyone told me, hey, you're making a bunch of money. I never made a lot of money. None of the dealers I know made a lot of money. What we did is we adjusted as the market was going up, or we're adjusting now as the market is going down. We have to pay less and sell for less. As before, we would pay more than what we actually sold the watch for 3 months before. So we have to adjust where, it's a quick turnover type of business. So we're not making a lot of money. We're making money on volume, okay? And the whole market was overhyped and everyone put everything on a pedestal, inclusive of Rolex, AP, Patek, and only a few models. Everything else just kind of tried to follow in a way, but it never really followed in the same way that those few, I'd say 10, 20 models have done. Overall, I'd say all this overhyping, all this belief that everything is going to be worth more and everything is just wrong, okay? Because if I tell you this, then everyone tells you this. We're all a bunch of liars. I never use those terms. I still have people today telling me, hey, I'll buy Rolex as an investment. I'm telling them, well, I don't know what the market is going. They're like, well, if I sell it in 20 years, I just don't want to lose. And I'm like, dude, in 20 years, I don't know if the planet is still going to be around. I have no idea. Therefore, for a lot of people, it's kind of scary to see that they're talking to me about investment and then they turn around and they're like, hey, no, I just don't want to lose. I'm like, look, you're buying luxury, okay? It's a disposable income that you have, that you put aside to buy, to treat yourself, your wife, your kids, whatever. And you're expecting it to actually produce money. If you want to invest, put it into something that you know best. I'm not going to tell you what to buy. I always believe that rare watches, rare pieces are always going to be valuable despite the economy going wherever it's going. And that's me, okay? All of that brought us to believe that, it would be just never ending. And that hype has since died, and I'm happy about it just because everyone was going towards the monetary value, okay? That's my second point. That's very important. But before getting there, we're gonna do quite a few little shots of what we have in stock. I know you guys don't like me just talking in front of a camera, so I hope you're gonna enjoy the fact that we're also gonna show you what we have. And most of the time I don't have any modern watches right now, just because I'm kind of trying to get more and more away from that. I'm doing this video to explain why I'm actually going against the whole market and why you should actually too as well, because it's not something healthy, it's not something that's sustainable in any way, and creating hype and money out of the blue is not how economy works. We gotta work for money in order to create something. To move on to the next point, what bothers me a lot is how much people are obsessed with the money part of watches. I come from, from an era where maybe 15 years ago or 20 years ago, most of the people in the industry were literally collecting watches, flipping them for a few dollars, and sometimes making a few dollars, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less. That wasn't that important. But all the older guys that I spoke to, we could talk about a universal Geneve, we could talk about a modern watch, about Bell & Ross, about a Patek. What was cool before, we were putting everything ahead in terms of knowledge, in terms of passion for watching, before any monetary value. Obviously, it's really impressive and people are highly impressionable when they hear numbers. For a lot of people in the industry, we're making easy money in a way. We can make as much money as someone would make in a whole month on a single deal, which is, for me, it's humbling me because I know what the value of money is, but other people might lose their heads. And that's why everyone went and put ahead the monetary value and how impressive it is to actually make. Who cares, okay? It's not important how much you make. If you're in this business for the long run, you're not gonna do the hit and run type of business that a lot of people are doing right now. A lot of people are gonna sell garbage watches, vintage watches that have been touched up. Everyone right now is all about how much money they make. It's cool, but at the end of the day, purists like me or other guys out there that are really looking for the proper watches that haven't been touched, I much prefer a watch that has never been polished but highly worn than something that's made to look brand new again, okay? And all that running after money is making people modify vintage watches, touch them up. We've seen a bunch of frauds in big auctions, Christie's, Sotheby's, Phillips. We've seen a lot of stuff going on in all those major auctions. And yes, it's on bigger pieces. Yes, it's on something where you take a garbage watch and you make a lot of money. But at the end of the day, the trust you have into us and into the industry is what we will get in the next decade or 2 decades as customers. If you're not trusting us today, we're gonna lose you as a customer for the long run. You're gonna get out of it. You're gonna say, hey, everyone is bullshitting. Everyone is saying all sorts of nonsense. Let me get out of it and move on. And that's it. I'm never gonna buy a watch again. That's what money does right now to the industry. It creates, and that's my next point, it creates a lot of negligence and a lot of lack of information towards everything else in the industry. Whereas I'm running towards vintage right now, and I'm more and more embracing that market. That's very much who I am and what I like and what I've always been driven about in this industry. Money is not so important. I could just do modern watches all day long, but that's not me. I don't get along with that industry. I don't get along with the people in the industry that really, like, we were trying to talk about something a bit different than the everyday, and it's like they're only looking for that money part. So a lot of people tell me, hey, I see watches I've never seen ever in my life. Yeah, because 90% of dealers decided to actually go for modern. When they get a vintage piece, they know nothing about it. Most of the time it's all polished up, reloomed, it's been serviced by Rolex, all the parts that are important have been replaced. And at the end of the day, it becomes so unattractive to people who really know what we're talking about. There's a lot of dealers in Italy, England, there are some guys in New York that I know of, even Florida, even California, that are really good, Hong Kong, Japan, and all those guys have also made a choice to actually go towards modern as well. I try not to as much as I can, even though I do have modern pieces which represent up to 20-30% of my inventory, but it's not going to be Rolexes specifically. I'm not looking for those. Even though I get them, you're not going to see them. I'm keeping that for other dealers, and we exchange other services. They're bringing me other customers, so it's all good. But the way I like to work is actually I have to have fun. If I don't have fun into an industry or into something I've been doing for years, I try to make it fun again for myself, and I hope for you guys as well, and that's what I'm all about. All that uniformity in the market, what is it gonna create? A lot of people are going against me, telling me, hey, why do you tell us not to buy garbage watches? Why do you tell us not to do this or what not to do that? I'm not doing it because I'm seeing any monetary value. I'm trying basically to educate you in a way of saying, hey, you know what? You're better off having one good watch than 30, 40, smaller watches. That's one thing. Second of all, if you're jumping from not having a watch or having a $200-300 watch to a Rolex of $20, $30, $50,000 all of a sudden, you skipped all the most important parts of collecting and owning watches, okay? You're losing the whole value of this industry. You're just gonna go for the looks. You're not gonna go for the quality. You're just gonna go with whatever everyone tells you. I'm not telling you to buy those, okay? I'm telling you before you go there, do your due diligence, make your steps before you get there. And then you'll see, hey, there's so many other things that are much, much cheaper, of better quality, and at the same time, you're gonna have something different on the wrist. You want to be unique in your own way, even though there's millions of those watches on the market. There's hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of even, let's say, rare watches. But at the end of the day, try not to be like everyone else. And that's what I hate about this whole market right now, is that all the guys that are buying brand new watches, there's that uniformity and to seeing the same 5, 10, 15, 20 models. And even if you tell me, hey, yeah, but there's 25 types of Nautiluses, I'm like, yeah, but it's still Nautilus. You're still buying the hype. You're still buying that uniformity of what everyone is into right now. Might have a power reserve, a moon phase, chronograph, whatever, 5980, 5990, 5726 and whatnot, whatever, doesn't matter. There's different variants, different two-tone, no two-tone, whatever. It's still Nautilus at the end of the day. So I'm putting all of that in one box and saying, hey, you know what? Like, if you really enjoy those watches and you really like it, buy it. But don't tell me that's the best watch in the world, because it's not. You're just buying in what everyone else told you. And I'm not telling you not to buy them. I'm just telling you that don't be a dick about owning one. Okay, you have money. Okay, it's fine. But, just because you own one, it doesn't make you any better. It doesn't make you anything else than someone owning Nautilus. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna get there. We're all living our lives. But you don't have to be someone who's superior because you own something like that. You're not. I'm not. And it's, it humbles me to actually see people that have a lot of money and they're actually able to be curious. And most of the people that I know that have a lot of money, they're curious and they're actually not buying in any way the hype of the market. All of that said, the fact that everyone is a copycat of someone else, that's where the trends from what I see are going. The fact that someone talks about a model of watch and then it all becomes trendy because it didn't exist 5 minutes before, but now because someone talked about it, it's super cool. It was still cool 5 minutes ago, so you didn't know about it. It saddens me that we have to actually tell you to buy those pieces to actually make that piece interesting. It just feels like, it becomes basically a marketing scheme, which this whole industry was never about. You had kind of newspapers about watches, you had magazines, you had all sorts of stuff, had publicities, and people would dream about owning them and would read about them. You'd have reviews and all sorts. Nowadays, there's people like me who are, let's say, YouTubers. In no way I'm considering myself a YouTuber in any way, but I'm just trying to tell you that I might seem like a dick, and some people have reacted very poorly to some of my ideas, and that just shows me how right I am about this whole industry. How you have an idea, you're sticking to it, and even if I tell you, hey, there's something else out there, hey, you know what you're buying is maybe not the best buy for the money you just spent, If you find that those ideas are wrong, we can have a debate. But all the people that got heavily into attacking me personally, which I'm not attacked in any way, I'm just trying to make a point of, hey guys, open your eyes. You're not doing anything different from anyone else. You're not gonna change the world. Okay, I'm not trying to change the world. I'm trying to, whoever trusts me or wants to listen to me and apply a few of my suggestions. It's more because I care about this whole industry, I think, more than a lot of people do. I don't think that everyone should have a Submariner on the wrist. That's the wrong way of seeing the market. I don't think that a Daytona is the best watch ever made, even though, I own vintage ones. They're cool. They're rare, yes. It's cool to have one. But my dreams and whatever I wanted before now are shifting towards, hey, you know what? For having owned a lot of those things, for having dealt a lot of those really rare pieces and whatnot, even though I don't show them. It's B2B, it's a lot of behind the scenes type of thing. It's very important that you understand that you are creating the market. You are the ones who are the next generation of buyers, sellers, dealers, whoever you might be. And if you close your eyes, you're gonna miss out on a whole world of knowledge of history, of passion. If at the end of the day, most of the dealers I know, they're just flipping Datejust and Cartier Ceintuses all day long, it saddens me. I cannot believe that this is where we're going right now. And yes, they're easy to sell, but if you're 50 people in a city, or let's say in New York, you're 30,000 people looking for the same watch to actually buy and flip. I don't know how many dealers there in New York, or small-time dealers, or little flippers, or whatnot. Can you imagine that this is what drives the whole market up? And you're not going to make a lot of money. You cannot do volume. You're going to make a pay, and that's cool. But if you do dare to actually go towards something else. Again, I'm going to Mike Nouveau. I'm going to many other dealers out there in the States that have created, again, they had to hype it up to actually make it cool, to wear vintage Piaget, to wear vintage Cartier, or to drive that market in a different direction. And it's extremely shocking to see that it takes that right now to actually open the market up towards something new. That whole market is driven right now by a certain mediocrity and overpricing of everything. You have to decide for yourself what quality is and what talks to you, okay? When I'm talking about independence, and I had a guy who was super upset to the fact that, an independent should be also the guy who actually makes a $200 watch. I'm like, you cannot buy a quality piece that was touched by a human being at $200. You have to get that out of your mind, that you're buying a quality watch at a certain price, okay? Rolex, Tudor, and a lot of other companies are basically automating a lot of their production. Maybe cutting the parts with lasers like Patek does. Yes, they're finishing them by hands, but everything is pre-cut. Everything is laid down and you just have to pop the parts. Rolex makes all their parts in an automated way. Therefore, they produce tens of thousands of the same part, or hundreds of thousands of the same part in one day. You can imagine that they're actually able to produce as many as they want, and you're not basically buying a watch that is handmade. It's hand assembled, yes, but it's in no way handmade. And hyping up something that's machine made, and you might tell me, hey, yeah, it might be better made, better this, better that. What's the point of using a machine to make a mechanical watch and stating, hey, it's made by a machine, therefore it's better? Use an Apple Watch and call it a day, or use a Timex. It's a $5, assembly line, and call it a day. You're done. You don't need any better than that. Therefore, you have to choose what quality is for you. Quality comes at a price. Let's talk about Laurent Ferrier and his watches and his experience. He has over 50 years in the industry. When you become an expert in your field, you should be paid as an expert, okay? And that is worth money. His expertise and his know-how is actually valuable to the market, is actually valuable to a certain type of product. And you cannot say that a guy who actually takes a watch from, a watch movement from China, puts it together in England, like Underdog, even though I sold them. Like, I sold those watches. I had 4 of them during the past month and a half. I don't think that's a high-end watch. I don't think that it is in any way an independent watchmaker. I can put together watches, and I'm not a watchmaker, okay? I know how to use a pair of tweezers. I know how to use a screwdriver, and let's call it a day, and let's start the Time Merchants brand, and let's sell a watch for $1,500 made in China. Look, I'm not trying to make a study case here, okay? But you have to be knowledgeable. You have to be self-assessing your choices of what you're purchasing, of your consumerism, okay? It's perfect if you know exactly what you're buying. I'm not saying the product is bad. I'm just saying for the $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 out there that a lot of people are buying hyped products for, you can buy something better. Even from the best brands, you can have, Cartiers that are really good. But again, certain things, you know, with a 25-12 movement. That's basically a ladies movement, or 25-10 or 10-25-12 from Cartier. I find that having a tiny movement like that in a $20,000 watch is actually a joke. Those watches should not be worth $20,000. And again, we're facing almost a mediocrity in the market, whereas we're overhyping stuff that was just something relatively cheap to produce. Cartier's designs are highly recognizable. I give them that. But again, it's overhyped for what it is. I'm not saying it's a great watch. I own a vintage Cartier with a similar movement myself, and it's fine, but it's in no way something of high horology or anything like that. It's of a high design, of highly respected design from the era, but then we're just buying the history and we're not buying the actual stuff that was made in 1910 or 1915, which is, I think, museum grade to my point of view, you know? But you have to make your own choices, and that's why, in my opinion right now, all of those points that I made are actually just making the industry more hateful towards each other, because we don't understand each other. We don't speak the same language. How can I speak with you if you don't even understand half of the words or half of the things I'm talking about? Just because you need to basically do your research. Again, buy books, read, inform yourselves, and at the end of the day, this whole industry is going to become better. You are going to become better at knowing what's valuable to you. Again, we might not agree, but we might agree on the fact that we know what we're talking about when we meet or when we chat about something. I'm not here to insult anyone, and I'm here to actually share with you guys what's going on in the industry. Again, I'm not trying to sell you anything. If you come to me, a lot of people come to me because they like me, whatnot. I'm not here to be a public figure. I'm not here to be, you know, a popular guy in any way. I don't care about those parts in my life. What I care about is the fact that people should actually care about what's being done to the way you are purchasing things. And I find that Hodinkee was doing some really good stuff in the past. They kind of lost their way, and as you see, economically speaking, they hit the wall. And even the best out there think they're above, you know, everyone else in a way, and they think, you know, they can basically manipulate the market, and we can tell right away that they went ahead of themselves. Ben is a very nice guy. Everything they did for the whole community is heightening and is very respectful and respectable in every single way. But again, because of my points, they lost their way. Even them, they went from not selling watches, been saying years and years ago, I'm never gonna sell watches, and then becoming, you know, a sellout, if I can call it this way. You know, obviously money is important, but it shouldn't drive everything in this industry. It's very hard to actually do what I'm doing. We have our highs, we have our lows. I'm creating some kind of a good customer base around the store, around the fact that people know me, around, you know, Instagram. I already have quite a few people following me and what I've been doing. But at the end of the day, what's most important is to actually make this whole industry go forward. And I don't think that manipulating the industry into one single funnel and saying, hey, this is all you gotta buy, that little strip of the industry, this is all this industry is about. This is not what it is about at all. And the more you know, the more you're going to open yourself towards other stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will talk about more watches in the next few videos. Thank you guys.